Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we are checking out a new model from Kansept, the Orion. So we have the Orion in S35VN, and check out this S35VN blade. Look at that machining. It is very deep, these grooves. Just listen. Very, very deep. I think they have a nice, attractive look to them. I know some people don't dig the grooves. I personally do. It depends on the knife, though. I don't obviously want all knives to have it. This is definitely not something you're going to want to cut cheese with or food or anything. But if you did, you just wipe it, just get something and squeeze in between the grooves and clean it out. But these are very deep. And I like the texture of it. I think it looks cool, and especially on this harpoon clip point blade. So this is a harpoon trailing clip point. It doesn't trail up too high. It's almost like a straight back in a way, but the tip is definitely way up higher than the center of the pivot. But because it's a compact knife, you can still get to the tip and, obviously use the belly on a flat surface. I like the two-tone finish from the blasted to the hand satin, because then when you look at the satin finish on the titanium frame lock, it matches. Just clean it up really quick so you guys can see it. Beautiful satin finish. See how it transitions right over there to the blade. I think that looks really, really good. Love the blue anode. There's obviously different color combos, but nice satin finish. It's almost a polished finish in a way. Not quite, but a very, very fine satin. I bet you if you wanted to polish it, you could probably polish it pretty easily from here. We have a titanium backspacer with some gears on it. Titanium mill pocket clip that's great. Plenty of spring. Kansept, not always, but most of the time, does a good job with their clips. They know how to make the tension just right. Because we don't want, some people might, but I personally don't want so much tension that it chews up my pockets. Now, action. Let's talk about this action. We have flipping deployment is amazing. It's really good flipping deployment. Not a strong detent at all. I can easily fail it for sure. But with just grabbing and picking it up, it's gonna flip every time. You have to try to fail it if you're gonna fail it. And this thing is extremely smooth. I gotta say this, Kansept has been killing it with the action lately. This luxurious smoothness. I'm not sure what they're doing in the pivot. I know it's on ceramic cage bearings, but I'm not sure if they're polishing it or if they're polishing a detent track or what, but they've made these knives just so glassy smooth. I love it. And because of that glassy smoothness, it obviously makes it where when you break the detent, it's going to open reliably. You do have to light switch this one. You cannot push button, even though it does have the traction right there. That's more so for the open position. It is a 4-finger knife, but it is like perfectly 4 fingers. I can definitely spread out, and then it's more of a 3.5 finger, but if I cram up there, this arch right there fits perfectly in my hand. I can get a good solid grip, and I can always go over the flipper tab if needed. Going back to the action really quick, lock bar access. It does have a chamfer on the lock bar, but they did not cut it out. It's okay. Like, this one's not uncomfortable. It's not difficult or anything like that, but it definitely could be cut out, just to give you a little bit more room. Now, the fuller, don't even think the fuller's anything. It's not going to work. You can't get to it. If you're going to reverse flick it, you can't, because the fuller is hidden. As far as the hardware goes, we have T6 hardware. I wish they were T8s, but it is what it is. Steel lock bar insert. And another thing, I do have to say this too. Kansept, man, has been doing a really, really good job on their lock face geometry. I have already tested this. I don't want to test it on. They pass with flying colors typically. I'm not going to say all, but I'm saying the last, I don't know, however many frame locks I've gotten from them have been extremely, extremely well done. But their lock face geometry, you can kind of see it if you look. You can see how the steel lock bar insert is on a fairly flat spot, which leads to when there's pressure going this way on the blade, it's not just pushing the lock bar out of the way, it's actually pushing straight down the lock bar how it should. And like I said, they've been doing a really, really good job on that. And I can see the contact point, it's got a decent amount of contact. It doesn't look like it's just like a one pinpoint spot area. So, which is going to lead to a much more reliable lock. So very, very cool. Sharpen tool and plunge grind is done well. They did stop it right there. So that's cool. Love to see that, because I would hate to get a smile with this beautiful blade with this finishes and stuff. That would just, man, it would just ruin it for me. So negatives, as far as negatives go. Well, T6s, I don't like T6s. I wish they were T8s all the way across the board. I thought Kansept was doing better with that, but you know, I'm not sure. The designer of this is Stout, so maybe they're the ones who chose the T6s. I'm not sure. The lock bar cutout is not bad. Like, it doesn't catch my pockets or anything, but I typically prefer them on the inside, you know, because they fall under the clip and it can bunch up. Luckily, he designed it to go way past that cutout, which does make it much smoother, so you don't have to worry about it. And the edges are a hard corner to some extent. They are knocked down a little bit. They do have a little tiny spot knocked down, so I gotta take that back. They're not a hard corner. I'm talking about the little corners where your pants or your pocket would have to catch on. So that's cool. I like that they did chamfer the edges, which is cool. But, you know, like I said, this one's not bad, but typically they are, in many cases, they can be. Lock bar access, wish I had just a little bit more, just a little bit cut back. You could have just cut back this blue area right there, just slightly. However, it's still good. So, you know, it's not really a bad thing. It's just, you know, more of a preference at this point. You know, the geometry is more on the robust side. It's not super slicey. I know they probably couldn't have done this texture with a hollow, so maybe they could have. I don't know. But not that it's a big deal, because this has still got, you know, decent cutting geometry. It's still going to slice just fine. You have a very pokey tip, and, you know, being a very pokey tip, you know, it's going to, you know, be very pokey, but not fragile. You know, they do have the swedge going out there, so that's really cool. My only other negative is I wish the fuller was exposed. I really want to reverse flick this guy, and I think that having a fuller there, or having a fuller that's exposed, would just really kick, man, just knock this design out of the park, since we really, really like to see multiple deployments in 2025. Not that they all have to be, for sure they don't. But anyways, perfectly centered. They did a really good job, man. I'm telling you, man, this thing is just rock solid, great action. It has a good look to it, great style. It's really awesome having great action, great, you know, functioning well, it being a good tool and so on. But also, it's nice when it has, and it looks good. It has a nice aesthetic appeal to it, so it's just like good, fun to look at, or interesting to look at. It's not something that you look at and you're like, oh, that's ugly. This to me has a good look to it. And I always appreciate that, because it's cool when you can get all of the above. You know, great function, great action, you know, cutting performance, and all the other stuff on top of a good looking knife. So there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.